Welcome to today's webinar on delivering a new employee experience with SAP WorkZone for HR. This is part of AKT's Insight series, where AKT has been an SAP partner for more than a dozen years. Hi everyone, I'm Michelle and the facilitator for today's webinar. All attendees are in listen-only mode. On your panel, you are able to ask questions through the text box, or alternatively, you can email info@aktglobal.com with your questions after the webinar. Before I pass this webinar to our presenters, let me first introduce AKT to those who are first-time participants. AKT is one of the largest SAP Cloud People Solutions consultancies in the EMEA region, with more than 140 consultants and local businesses across 6 countries, including France, the UK, Czech Republic, Switzerland, and others. We are a full-service provider of SAP solutions across SuccessFactors, SAP Sales Cloud, Qualtrics, and now WorkZone, where AKT was the only partner working with SAP's product team on the development of this People Portal product. So on to today's webinar. Our presenters today are Eitan Bernstein, Managing Partner of AKT's People Advisory Organization, Andy Sheen, VP, Global Learning and Engagement at SuccessFactors. So let's start by learning how we can bring amazing employee journeys to life. Over to you, Eitan.
Thanks for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Eitan Bernstein, and I'm a co-founder and partner at AKT Global, an SAP partner. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about designing great employee experiences and wonderful and amazing employee journeys, and particularly in how SAP WorkZone can be a platform to bringing those journeys to life. I want to start with 3 really important messages, which I think are the basis to everything we're going to be talking about today. One is this is the age of experience. If anyone's missed it, now is time to wake up. I'm sure this isn't the first time you're hearing about the importance of employee experience. And this is indeed the age of experience, even with all the changes with COVID and other things going on in this crazy world. This last few years and just continuing to grow, the understanding of organizations that experience management and designing and delivering great employee experience is a key to what organizations need to do. I think is all upon us, and we're all realizing that, whether it's Gartner's recent research that enhancing employee experience should be one of top 5 priorities for 2020, or whether it's Vizier saying that employers are starting to recognize that employee experience will underpin all facets of work, or whether research by LinkedIn recognizing that today more businesses are looking at everything they do through the lenses of employee experience. And this should not be surprising to you. When we look at employee experience and the employee journey, that it's important to realize that we're really talking about a very complex, multidiscipline, multi-timing type of situation where employee journey is really the sum total of all touch points that an individual has, from when they're a candidate, maybe even a passive candidate, to when they're an alumni. Although we bring ideas from the world of customer experience into the world of employee experience is a much more complex environment and a much more complex idea to grasp. Employee experience happens all the time in every situation. By the way, even your drive or commute to work is part of your employer experience. And the employer has nothing to do with it. You've chosen where to live. The highways are not the responsibility of the employer. And yet, it can be a big impact on your experience as an employee and whether you want to continue to work at that organization. And of course, not only the interactions with HR, not only how you're trained and developed, how you go through different HR-related processes in your life cycle, but also your interaction with your manager, with your peers, many other aspects of the complexity of the world of work influence my experience and my overall employee journey. So if we know that experiences are really critical, so no matter what do we do with it? Well, experience don't just happen. They're created by design. And I think this is a really important concept which we should all in HR these days be thinking about. So great companies that create amazing, consistently amazing employee experiences are not doing that by accident. They've been thoughtfully, continuously improving and designing and planning the way they create experiences, learning from their mistakes, improving all the time. And that's not a simple thing to do. You need to put a lot of energy around designing wonderful employee experiences. Now, I mentioned a second ago that employee experience is a very complex concept and touches on many, many aspects. So we can't really get down and design every little moment in an employee's life. We can't control a lot of those interactions. We can't um, design and manage a lot of the things that happen. But if we identify the key moments that matter in an employee life cycle, those events, those processes, those days that make a real difference, and we design those so they're consistently outstanding, that's when we can create as good as possible a great employee experience. How do we do that? So designing for experience is not easy, and I love this model from Forrester on designing great consumer grade experiences. So designing great experiences has three levels. So the basic level, which we have to do every time we design a journey or a process, is ensuring that that journey or process is effective, that it actually delivers the output that it's supposed to deliver. If I need to be hired, that in the end the process knows how to consistently hire an individual, a good individual. If I have to go out on maternity leave, then I need to ensure that the process actually ensures that I am legally on my leave and I get all the technical things that need to get done and fill out all the things that need to get done. So that's the effectiveness level, and that's the baseline. Without a base of getting things effective and done well, do what the output should be, then we're not in business at all. But on top of that, it's how to make the process and the experience easy. So it's one thing to get it done, but if I need to fill many forms out, if I have a very frustrating situation, if things are very complex, if I need to work hard to figure things out, okay, that's not easy. And designing a process that's not only effective but also easy is not always that easy. And so designing for simplicity, designing for end user ease, not just for the back office of HR's ease or for other organizations delivering the experience, but for the ease of the individual experiencing it is requires work and thought and design work. But on top of those two, you can have a process that's effective and easy, but doesn't create a wow experience, doesn't create an emotion, a positive emotion. And that's where we want to delight our employees. That's where we want to think about what will surprise them, what will cause them to think, wow, this is not what I expected. This is great. I love this company. I love things that happen here. Okay, and that's how to create those little things that are on top of the effectiveness and ease. And that's why this is drawn out as a pyramid that create that wow effects. It's anticipating individuals' needs. So not waiting for the individual to reach out and ask for something, but to say, you may be interested in this. We know this about you. For example, I'm pregnant. I have apparently notified my organization of that, and the organization knows that I'm scheduled to give birth at a certain date. Now the organization can start feeding me with information. You know, you're 2 months before your due date. You may be interested in this information. Or welcome back. These are things that most people who have returned from maternity leave would usually want to do. You may want to update your benefits. You may want to do other things. So Anticipation of employee needs is one great way of creating a positive emotion and a good feeling. Another is personalization. When someone feels that they have choice, that things have been personalized specifically for them, okay, those are things that create delight. Of course, great service creates delight. Other such things. Um, One of the interesting things that we've learned over the years is really thinking differently around designing for employee experience, designing to create great, consistent experience. So I'm an industrial engineer, and for the 20 years, 20 somewhat years, I've been working within the HR space. I've been designing processes. And for 16 or 17 years of that, it was processes like the one here on the left. So we designed great swim lanes with very clear blocks and cubes and decisions and yes, no. And if this happens, you go to here and this person does that. And they write something into the database and they produce this report and so on. And I think we did it very well and enjoyed ourselves a lot and created efficient, well-designed processes. But things are changing, and not only there's the new way of designing for experience look a little bit different, it really is fundamentally different. So the new way, and you can see an example of a design or a way of looking at design, is very different than the old way of design in a number of ways. First of all, it focuses on the experience of the end user. There is behind the scenes work to design how to ensure that the process and the journey works well by all the parties, like the table on the swim lanes on the left, but it's very different. Designing for experience focuses on the individual, on the end user, employee, or manager, and how they feel and what will cause them to feel more positive or neutral or negative throughout the process. And that's a very, very different way of looking at any experience in any HR related process than thinking through the swim lanes of what each function does, what the employee does, what the manager does, what the HR manager does, what the back office shared services does. Okay, this is a very, very different way of looking at this. So when we design with design thinking approaches and with an employee centric approach, one of the key things we do is design for personas. So this isn't new. Marketing, user experience people, customer experience people have been designing for personas for many, many years. But bringing personas into the HR design world, into the employee experience design world, is relatively new, and very few of our customers are doing this on a regular basis. And I really want to urge you to do this. To bring a persona means to identify 2 or 3 or 4 key types of individuals in the organization and actually create real, deep, living personas of those individuals. It's just an example to give you some idea of the kind of information we recommend in order to create a person, and not only having a picture of that person, but telling a story about that person. Who is she or he? Where do they come from? What's important to them? What's their relationships? What are their motivations? What do they care about relating to work, related to outside of work? Let's create a real persona and start thinking through the world through the persona, through the how that persona experiences it. I think for those of you who have not done that exercise, you will quickly learn this is a very, very different way of thinking about a process. What would Tom think in this situation if we did this, or we asked Tom to fill in that, or we sent Tom this email? What would Tom understand? What would he expect? What would his response be? That is an important way of designing a process that really looks at the types or the archetypes of individuals in your organization and designs for them. So we've said that this is the age of experience, and we've said that experiences don't just happen, they happen by design. So the third thing I want you to take away is that the key to doing amazing design of employee experience is listening. Empathy and truly listening to the voice of employees is the basis to a wonderful employee experience design. You can't design wonderful journeys and great experiences without truthfully listening and having real empathy to what the individuals in the organization, as represented by the personas, believe, feel, and think. Now, we may think that is simple and easy and trivial, and we know we talk to employees all the time. Okay, we should understand what they think, but it turns out there's a pretty large gap between what employees think that they say that they feel about different things and what executives and HR professionals think about what they feel. And this is just one example out of many. There's a significant gap when we don't actually go and ask, when we're not proactive at listening and collecting the information. It turns out we're not always guessing that well. Okay, and we call this the employee experience gap, that assumption that we know what the employees experience and we know what they, because we're employees ourselves, people in HR are people and they are employees in the organization, and we have a sense that we are representative and our experiences are representative of those of the other employees in the organization. It turns out that's not always so true, and truly going out and collecting information and listening is critical. And how do we do that? So there are many methodologies. I'm not going to get into them deeply in this session. But I do think that going out and asking some very deep questions, not just how was your onboarding process or how was your recruiting process, but actually going in and trying to figure out some of these questions. For instance, when you ask someone about the process, what is their feedback? So what do they say about it? When you ask them about their feelings, what did they feel? Were they positive? Do they have positive feelings or negative feelings? Why? What caused those feelings? Okay, and just as the example here, were they disappointed? Why were they disappointed? Because they expected something else. What are those expectations? Were they confused? What confused them? All right. To understand their real needs and real expectations as you started this journey or you started this process, what did you expect? Now that you've experienced it, what would you expect to be different? What are the key moments that were most positive for the individual in a certain journey and the ones that were most negative so that we can address those? We want to reproduce the positive experiences and we want to redesign the negative moments that didn't feel right. What are the barriers in the existing process to meeting the needs? So what was difficult? What was hard? What didn't work right? Okay, and how would we measure what those expectations would be? How would you know that it went well? Okay, so these are just some examples to ask employees and ask managers when designing processes, and use those to truly understand your persona, how that persona interacts with the process, and improve those processes to make them work well. And this isn't a one-time, listening to employees is not a one-time event. It's not something that you do when you design a process once and then your process works forever. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. We know that processes need to be continuously improving, that employee expectations are constantly going up as their experiences outside work with other services and websites and organizations are constantly improving. Employees expect that those same types of consumer grade experiences they're experiencing outside should come into the organization. So the bar is continuously going up, and we need to constantly be improving the way we deliver our services. And that requires continuously listening, continuously collecting feedback. Okay, whether it be more structured feedback, like through surveys, like through Qualtrics, for example, or whether it be more informal and less structured feedback, like through employee interviews, through other ways of collecting information from directly from employees, roundtables, and so on. It's critical to continuously collect that feedback and continuously improve the journeys as they go along. So that was three really important points that I wanted to make. This is the age of experience. You have to be deep into thinking about how you're creating wonderful employee experiences and amazing journeys. They don't happen, they're created by design. And the only way to design them well is by listening to the voice of employees as the basis to design. So let's take some examples and let's actually get into a little bit of detail of how this actually comes to life through a persona. So I want you to meet Anna. So Anna's 32 years old. She's a millennial living a fast-paced lifestyle. She balances work and sports, which she does many of. She volunteers. She has a very active social life. Um, she really values her time because she's so busy, and she takes her private life. She takes her for things in her private life are very, very important. She wants to be very efficient at work, and although work is very important for her and her career is very important, she wants to feel that she's efficient at work. She gets her work done. She can perform excellently and have enough time and free time to do the things that she wants to do. And because she's so minded to her time, she really values using great tools. Like she's a big fan of Alexa. She uses a lot of other types of technologies to make her life easy and fast. She's recently joined our company, in our case, for our story, as a regional sales manager in a tech company. And her expectation is that the same kinds of tools and infrastructure and service that she's used to outside, that respect her time and make her life easy, are the ones that she'll find in the organization. Now, Anna just joined the organization a few weeks ago, so she's a new employee, but she's planning to get married soon and knows that although she's recently joined, it's really important for her to take 2 weeks vacation for her honeymoon. And let's talk about Anna's journey as she explores what she needs to do to go on a vacation and come back from vacation. So here's an example of a journey. Okay? And Anna, scheduled her wedding date and deciding on her honeymoon destination and dates, and is of course very excited, not related to work, just to life. But as she starts thinking about how does she get those 2 weeks off and what does she do, she gets a little worried because she's a relatively new employee. She doesn't want to make the wrong impression. And she's very concerned about asking for a long vacation so early in her tenure at the organization. So she wants to find information about what her rights are and what she needs to do before approaching her manager. She goes online to the HR portal and looks through some of the internal sites that exist in the organization, employee handbook, looking for information about vacation policies and whether there's anything for relating to new employees who don't yet have accrued vacation days and can't find any of the information she's looking for. So she's a little nervous about whether she can ask and what will happen if she gets a negative answer about her request. But then she goes and talks to her manager, and her manager is actually very supportive, approves the vacation, but does ask that she delegate all her responsibilities that she's just gotten to her colleagues so that she can um, take vacation quietly and the work will get done. Anna goes back. She's very happy that this has been approved, but she starts to search how to delegate her authorities in the different systems, her HR authorities, her financial authorities, procurement authorities, and can't find the information she needs. What do I actually need to do? Where do I put information in? How do I do this? So Anna um, wants to talk to one of the only HR people she knows, who's the recruiter that recruited her a few weeks earlier. So she calls that recruiter and asks for advice, but the recruiter has no idea how to help her and can't provide her with any answers. So Anna asks a colleague what she should do and realizes after asking that there are actually 4 different systems that she needs to fill in forms for each one of them. She goes in, fills them out, and all this process of trying to figure out what to do and how to do it and trying to collect the information has been very, very frustrating for Anna. But it's done, and she can now free herself to go to get married and get on vacation. So she's very surprised when she gets a wedding present from the company, which is great. It comes just in time, right before her wedding. She gets married. That, of course, is a wonderful time, and goes on the honeymoon. But unfortunately, during the honeymoon, she still receives approval requests for a different request by email that she thought she had delegated, but continue for some reason to come in, although she really doesn't want to deal with work right now. She has to call the IT team and they assist in resolving them. She gets back to work after a wonderful honeymoon, and after returning, she tries to update her surname, and again, she can't find the information. It's too many forms. She needs to fill out 4 different systems. She's thinking, why am I wasting my time on this when I should be going out selling? And after updating 4 systems, she's really uncertain whether is it done? Am I finished? Did I miss anything? And it turns out, after doing all this work, that indeed she missed a few of the systems that she needed to update. Some of the emails didn't get through, and as a result, she misses a deadline, which really frustrates her that the systems are working against her and caused her to fail and not to succeed. So that's Anna's story. I hope that this isn't too familiar for many of you, but I think it's not uncommon, many of the challenges that Anna is experiencing. Um, so the big question is, how could we design a different process? And how could technology and better process design change the way this whole feels and looks? So if we go in and ask Anna about her experience, and she describes her frustrations and her experiences, there are quite a few things we could pretty easily do. So one is make it a lot more easy to find the information that she needs around vacation policies that she was looking for in the beginning, by making all the knowledge in the organization, the policies, and the processes documented and readily available, by having search engines that find the right information, by doing it in context. So by understanding, having the systems understand who Anna is, where she is in the world, what types of questions she's asking, and much more easily find that information. Another thing that would be designed to lower her frustrations and help her much better would be, instead of trying to find information, fill out different forms, is how to open a simple ticket or design a process that is all integrated. And instead of filling out 4 forms for different systems and not knowing where everything was complete, to fill in the information of my request from my perspective. I need all my systems delegated from this day to this date. And then have that, instead of going from one system to another in a completely disparate environment, and have that feel like one simple, well-designed process, that I get approval when I'm done, that I've completed everything I need to delegate, so I don't have any responsibilities. I can go on my honeymoon with peace of mind. And then coming back from vacation, the organization knows that Anna just got married. There are things that an organization can expect and foresee as possible, maybe not for sure, but possible or likely things that may interest Anna as someone who's recently got married. They did send her a wedding gift, so they may want to ask her whether she has a change of address or change of name, or whether she wants to update her beneficiaries in her benefits, or maybe update her benefits now that she's married. And so being able to proactively suggest some of these ideas, and make every one of them very easy in one place and available, so that Anna doesn't need to search for all of them, doesn't need to fill in many different things. Okay, and in this case, filling and changing her name once very easily, and having that integrated into all the systems where Anna's name appear without her having to go one by one, and having a system or suggestions that advise on other things that she may want to do. For example, a system that advised that she may want to review her benefit plan. She wasn't even thinking about it and hadn't even come to mind. So this is delightful. She may want to do it, she may not, but the idea that the organization thinks of her and suggests these things, and she doesn't discover a year later, 2 years later, that she forgot to do something, makes Anna feel great about this organization and it's the way it's serving her. So this is just an example of how better design and better use of technology could help Anna improve. But one of the key issues is that we've known how to design better processes for Anna and other personas across different HR journeys for quite a few years. One of the problems we've had is even though we knew how to design great processes, we had a big problem actualizing those processes, making them truly come to life because of the tech environments, because organizations have so many systems which aren't necessarily well integrated. Because in order to create one automated solution, we needed new ways of providing the information to the individual, and this was very hard to do. And this is where some of the new solutions, including SAP WorkZone, come in. So this is just a quote by Josh Bersin, that just as Amazon, Google, and Facebook deliver a single integrated productive experience to consumers, we need to create a similar user-centric architecture for employees as well. So think about the experience in those platforms. You're not moving between environments. Things are very easy to do. And so we need to do the same thing in our systems. And Josh Bersin suggests a model like this to think about the idea of an employee experience platform, where we have many different types of users, whether they're white collar workers or blue collar workers, whether they're senior leaders or junior people, whether they're line managers or employees, contractors, alumni, all types of different types of users and employees and managers within the organization, all trying to get information, experience in different ways. And they want information from different individuals and different services in HR that often relate to different systems and processes. And that's a very, very complex environment. And what's beginning to emerge with solutions like WorkZone are this employee experience platform, which hides the complexity of the systems and structure of HR behind the scenes and creates one integrated experience to actualize the kind of design we just showed for Anna in real life. And that is where solutions like WorkZone come in. And for that, I will pass the presentation to my colleagues from SAP to show you a little bit of how that actualization might come to life and look like in real life. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Eitan, for those insights into designing a better employee experience in this new normal, and in the future of what many are terming the next normal. So to see how we can actualize this, I'll let Andy from SuccessFactors demonstrate this with the new WorkZone for HR. Over to you, Andy.
WorkZone for HR is here to create a unified and single pane of glass that sits on top of all the different employee journeys, functional service centers, and applications that users need to interact with on a regular basis. Oftentimes, average employee journeys like onboarding and training and complex life events like parental leave often sit on top of many different functional service centers like HR, IT, and finance, and more, and on top of potentially hundreds of different applications that need to work together for that employee journey. This can create a fragmented experience. Well, WorkZone is here to unify that experience, to unify disparate processes across disparate systems, and really put the employee at the center. When users enter WorkZone for HR, they see a completely configurable interface, whether it's theming, the way these pages are organized, the contents on the page. It's all available to be configured and interacted with based on how the users need it. We can have top-down communication and information that everyone can access, like information on benefits enrollments, news, materials, strategy that might need cascaded down to everyone, but then also have different segments of the system be unique to who the user is based on their role or where they live within the organization. WorkZone also puts collaboration at the center for employees to get them the information that they need in as quickly a way as possible. You could have blog posts cascaded down from leaders within the organization. Users can then connect and ask questions, highlight information, and interact and share with others. We can roll up data based on what's most viewed, most liked, information that's highest ranking so that users can find what they need as quickly as possible. We also allow users to interact in different ways, such as uploading their own documents, recording videos that include screen captures with audio, and even data from their webcams if they like. But where things get really interesting is the My Workspace segment of the system. This is where I, as an individual, get to create my own personalized dashboard based on all of the different systems I need to interact with. The My Workspace section allows me to surface data from virtually any system based on what I need. Data like in team engagement trends coming from my team's responses to surveys from Qualtrics, for example, could be here and updated automatically. My goal data out of SuccessFactors to-dos, my profile, even data from other applications like SAP S4 Finance to highlight general expense data on projects I'm working on, and even third-party applications. WorkZone for HR is here to surface data from virtually any application based on what I need in a unified and singular environment. Now, sure, I could go into any one of these applications and view the information like my goals if I need to. But within WorkZone, I have the ability to surface that data all in one place, so I don't have to unless I need to jump in and interact with those solutions. This saves me time and makes me more productive based on what I need to do for my day. Now, that said, if I do need to jump in and maybe update the one goal that needs updated, I can seamlessly hand off into these other applications while preserving the overarching experience from within WorkZone for HR. From here, I can update that goal that needs updated and then simply go back to where I was in my main workspace to get on with my day. Again, this allows me to be more productive in a number of different ways. When I need to interact with multiple applications that might be sitting across different system functional service centers or across many different applications within the business, guided experiences allow me to connect those disparate processes into guided experiences that become much more simple. For example, in the case of a spot award, I may be interacting with 4 or 5 different systems within one singular experience. In this case, I can simply go in and search for the user I'd like to nominate for an award program. WorkZone will do all the work for me. It'll reach out, find the users that I'm trying to search for, surface the different award programs that are available to me, and in this case, could be touching 3 completely different systems based on the award programs that are available. Could be a formalized compensation spot bonus, a non-monetary thank you, or a monetary peer appreciation award. And again, these could be touching any number of different systems in this completely configurable process. As I make my selections, WorkZone's having conversations behind the scenes with all of these different applications and surfacing the data based on my responses. For the end user, this becomes a very streamlined and simplistic process that could otherwise require users to go to many different systems, have to worry about how I log in and is single sign-on enabled and what are the rules for each of these different systems. WorkZone for HR has the ability to unify those processes and that experience and greatly simplify it for me. So I can very quickly come in, complete the task that I need to, and move on. These guided experiences are extremely configurable. Any step in this process can be configured to interact with any system that you'd like in a variety of different ways. Approvals can be incorporated to either individuals or many different people, all based on the use case that you provide, all within one singular experience. We provide several different templates for these guided experiences and these UI integration cards so that we can make it very easy for you to find time to value in servicing the data from the applications of your choice. When we think about how some of the more complex use cases, maybe something like parental leave can work here, we'll see that collaboration plays a key role in supporting how the users interact with these applications. In this case, I might be applying for parental leave, signing up for a consultation, submitting required documents, and then creating a leave request prior to sending it off for approval. Approval could go to individuals, it could go to multiple people based on your needs. When approvers log in, they simply need to navigate to their inbox where they can see all of the approvals that they need, interact with, consume data, maybe ask for additional information, and then approve or reject those requests just as quickly as they're submitted. Once that's been completed, you'll see I now have the ability to navigate to step 2 to fill out additional information and processes based on what I need before I leave, right? Also find information that I might need while I'm out on leave, things I need to consider prior to coming back to work. Included within these guided experiences are form builders, so I can customize this based on my needs and based on my choices. In this case, before I leave, I might discuss my leave with my manager to go over the details of and my plans for my leave, select the dates, the times, the duration for this conversation. And I can very quickly come in and schedule this, including information it could surface from me, like my location. Provide a subject area, messages, and then send that meeting request off, all from within WorkZone itself. I can quickly write a message within here to send off to my manager for discussions. Very quickly within WorkZone for HR, I have the ability to send that details off and complete my process, including perhaps updating health plan enrollments if I like, perhaps 1 week after the due date, and it'll send reminders to remind me. And then again, I can complete similar processes to gain access to resources during my leave and when I'm ready to come back to work. Where WorkZone for HR then supports this model is with a collaborative view. If while I'm gone or when I'm ready to come back, I have questions, I have the ability to connect with experts, get the information and details that I might need to support me while I'm gone. We also have the ability to support end users with things like a detailed knowledge base that can provide articles and information based on other requests, so users get the access to the information they need just as quickly as possible. Being able to connect with others that have gone through the process, ask questions on forums, get near instant responses from others that have been through this. WorkZone for HR enables this collaborative environment to interact with all of the different systems that users might need to interact with, and all within a unified experience. We could create special programs that are all built within WorkZone for HR, create parent-to-be toolkits that can link out to different systems and give me a checklist on things to think about before and while I'm gone. Maybe in some regions, even add that new family member to my insurance provider. Because we have deep video capabilities built within here, we could record videos directly from WorkZone for HR or link out to videos that have already been posted on YouTube if necessary. Gain access to FAQs and support that total process with a collaborative view that creates a truly unique model within the space. WorkZone for HR is here to unite different processes, to simplify them, to roll them up into much bigger business processes as part of each company's journey to a more intelligent enterprise. It has the ability to surface data from virtually any system into this united digital experience that simplifies and puts employees at the center. Now, within WorkZone for HR, we provide a number of data card integration templates as well as guided experience templates to help decrease the time to value when WorkZone for HR is installed. Out of the box, we include a number of different data cards, including my profile, org chart, time off, pay statement, goals, activities, and cards tied into SuccessFactors learning as well, like learning history, learning plan, learning catalog search, and even the ability to embed SuccessFactors homepage content within WorkZone for HR as well. The key with these integration cards is that you can surface data from virtually anywhere, including third-party applications. And that includes data from on-premise applications as well. These data cards can be actionable or simply display data based on what you need as an organization. With guided experiences, we can also surface data and tie together disparate processes from different systems as well, with the included Spot Award, as well as a return to work guided experience that's more focused on HRBPs to help someone come back from an extended leave. Just like the UI data integration cards, these guided experiences are built as templates. to help you get a great starting point for how you might deliver your guided experiences across multiple systems and processes. These truly are samples that you can customize to meet your specific needs with the specific applications that you need to work with. This unifies these related processes across these applications, simplifies them, and then again, takes steps to create a more intelligent enterprise at the end of the day. Thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
Thanks, Eitan and Andy, for taking the time today to present. If you posted any questions today, we'll have email responses to you shortly. Feel free to get in touch with us via info@aktglobal.com, where we're happy to answer your questions about today's topic and provide further demos of WorkZone for HR. With that, we hope you have a good rest of the day and a great week. Stay healthy, everyone. Goodbye.